Hello, my name is Dan Gibson and welcome to this new video in the series Talking with Dan Gibson. If you would like to ask a question, please use the email address at the bottom of the screen. It is film@canbooks.ca. Now, back in 2010, I launched a new book called Quranic Geography. And in that book, I introduced a new way of looking at Islamic history using the QIBLAS of ancient mosques and then lining up Islamic history according to what those QIBLAS revealed. That was followed by a number of web pages and then the release of a full documentary film called The Sacred City. And after that, we published the book called Early Islamic QIBLAS, with all of the data that was behind the making of the film. Then in 2017, I launched a YouTube channel, and this series began it, Talking with Dan Gibson, and then several series hopefully to follow after that. Now, a question that has often been asked me by people who are watching these is, who pays for all of this? When you visit the website, you'll see the film, and it's a professionally made film. The crew were all professional, the people who worked on it. Scenes from the film are taken all around the world, and it's professionally edited and color corrected and has professional voice actors and so forth. So obviously, it costs a lot of money. So they ask, who paid for all of this? Obviously, the film budget was over $1 million. That's the assumption that people make. And when we first started down this road of making a film, that was the budget we were looking at, close to $1 million. And so they wonder, wow, some big organization or some rich person must be behind all of this. It's a good question, but the answer is not what you think. You see, I'm a person who believes in God, and so I prayed and asked God, if you want this film to be made, you're going to have to make it. I don't have any resources, I don't know any rich people, so I need two things. I need a producer who's willing to make this film, and I need money to pay for expenses. And I specifically chose not to pay, to raise money, not to ask people for money. No fundraising. I only told people around me about what I was doing. If they asked me, so what are you doing? I would explain I'm starting to make a film. And people say, well, how are you getting the money? I'd say, well, I'm just trusting the money will come in. And I had an account an address where people could send money. And I made the little cards available if people asked me. And so over the months that went on from that, that was the way any fundraising was done. It was unbelievable to me that I got an email out of the blue from a man who was a film producer, and he had heard about the film I wanted to make from a friend who was a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend and so forth. And he called me up and said, I heard you wanted to make a film, and I had been circulating a rough script around of sort of what I was hoping it would be in it. And he looked at it and said, I want to help you make this film. And so I had a producer. And then over the next 2 years, individuals, gave money towards the making of the film. A few dollars here, a few dollars there, some euros came in, and slowly but surely, money was there. In the end, we surpassed over $100,000, and it just kept trickling in more and more. And when we needed the money was there. So it was quite an adventure of faith. Just if God is in this, if he wants the film made, he's going to bring all this stuff together. I'm not going to go run around and do it. I don't have the time or the energy or the expertise, and I don't have a team of helping me, so I simply had to trust that this would all come together. And so in the end, the film was made. There were no big organizations behind it, no corporate backing, no wealthy people, just individuals giving all kinds of amounts, small amounts, little bigger amounts, but altogether it all came in. And so the film was made by patrons who were convinced that this would make a good educational film. They wanted to invest into it in that way, but they were not investments. These were gifts. that were given. So I didn't have to have an investment and have all these investors and pay them back. Nothing like that whatsoever. Simply patrons who gave towards the making of the film. Sometimes they were fascinated by the archaeology of Islam, and they're interested in this topic, wanted to hear more, learn more. Sometimes the patrons are Muslims who are interested in their own history. Some of them are just friends who have chipped in and have given something. Now, for each project, the websites, the film, the books, and so forth, there have been these patrons or donors. And over the years, they've supported the research. The research took a lot of money. Thousands of books were purchased originally, and then the time was spent scanning them in to make an electronic library so I could quickly search over 10,000 books and and up would come the result that I was looking for. So if I'm looking for, well, the ancient god Hubal, where do I find him? I just click a search button and up it comes. It tells me where he's mentioned in different books. Made research much, much easier. So there was the books, there was the time to do the research, then the websites, then the documentary film, and some more books. And now we're launching a YouTube channel. And our major focus is going to be a series of films called Archaeology and Islam, and we're going to investigate lots of interesting topics. Some of these are unexplored topics in some ways, and so introducing some new ideas, putting things together that maybe haven't been put together before, and going through all the research that different archaeologists and historians are doing and trying to present some of this to the general public so they can appreciate some of the archaeology that is behind the founding years of Islam. Now, it was here through this research that we were doing that I made the discovery that all of the early mosques pointed towards Jordan and not towards Saudi Arabia. And it was here through these research and through the books and so forth that the Islamic history of the city of Petra first came to light. And it was here we began to understand the setting behind the Quran and behind the life of the Prophet Muhammad, that it was in the country of Jordan, not in Saudi Arabia. And so if you want to be part of this research, if you'd like to support this, if you want to play a role, because I think this is significant, I believe it's having a significant impact around the world as people wake up and begin to understand what is there, then you too can become a donor for this program and you can give something. And so I've tried over the years various different channels to move money and bring it in. And just recently I have become a member of something called Patreon.com. And it's there on the screen for you. And people can use this website to support the ongoing research and the filmmaking. And once we decide to stop making the films, we will close the Patreon account and that will all be finished. Of course, if you are a Patreon member, anytime you want to end your support, you can just cancel it and it's over as well. Now, with Patreon, it's interesting because they allow me to give different perks or different rewards to people. And for some people, this is very exciting. So if you're fascinated with the topic of archaeology and Islam, please consider supporting us. You can give as little as $1 a month, all the way up to $100 a month or more. Now, perhaps you'd like to give a one-time gift. You can choose this by becoming a member of Patreon and supporting the film, and then you choose the amount. Go to the $1 amount and put in any amount you want and support the film with that, and then wait until you get an email. Now, the amounts taken from whatever you say, a credit card or a bank account or whatever, are done at the end of the month. And at that point, you will get an email saying from Patreon they have withdrawn the amount from your account. At that point, you go on to Patreon, cancel your giving, and you have given a one-time gift. Now, there's something else that is very special. If you are in the United States or Canada and you want to give a sizable gift, and I would put this at least $100 or more one-time gift, maybe you want to give more, I can possibly arrange a tax-deductible gift for these two countries. It depends on the tax laws in each country, but since these videos are considered educational material, I can receive and work this out. So I have looked for different channels that can process those receipts for me. And so please contact me if that interests you, and we can talk about it and see what I can arrange to get a tax deductible gift. I can't promise, but I will see what I can arrange. So the question was asked, who pays for this? The answer is you do, or people just like you. You will notice on this YouTube channel, there are no advertisements appearing. I'm not doing this to raise money. This isn't a big money maker, but it is supported by people who want to give and support the kind of thing that I'm doing here in investigating archaeology and Islam. So thank you for listening. A special thank you to all those people who have donated and who are donating, and also a special thanks to the small team of volunteers, people who help in lots of different ways in the recording, in editing the videos, and in many other ways. Some people who just come along and chat and talk with me and stimulate my thinking in different areas. All of these people, you are much, much appreciated, and thank you. And I invite you who are watching, if you would like to support this, please go to the YouTube channel, click on the button at the top as it mentions, please support us on Patreon, and you can follow the instructions on Patreon. Thank you, and bye-bye now.